Thank you, Jennifer. As was just stated, we are the Resilient Eastside Initiative. You're here for the acronym RIE moving forward, and we had the pleasure of working with Elevate and ECN. So the team consists of myself, I'm John Kent, Amber Garcia, Tommy Lowell, Mia McPherson, and Moretta DeWitt. So to give you some background, the need for resiliency hubs doesn't come out of a vacuum. Detroit's rise as an industrial powerhouse in the early 20th century was fueled by the booming automobile history and industry. As mid-century approached, Detroit's industry dominance began to decline. Major auto manufacturers moved production to the suburbs, seeking cheaper labor while automation replaced many jobs in the city. So this de-urbanization led to widespread job loss, economic instability, and a deteriorating infrastructure. But despite these challenges, which include the major tax base loss due to white flight and the continuation of corporate interest prioritization, this harmed the needs of the predominantly Black working class population and leaving many communities without adequate resources or investment in education, healthcare, or housing. So, as a result of Detroit's 20th century industrial boom, particularly on the east side, the city now grapples with the aftermath of deindustrialization and pervasive social inequities. But this legacy has left behind Superfund sites, high asthma rates, and a heightened vulnerability to climate-related disasters, disproportionately impacting the city's predominantly Black working class population. Before addressing particular issues related to climate change, which affect everyone, we want to emphasize that these challenges are deeply interconnected and rooted in broader social and cultural inequities. Like climate-related disasters, as I mentioned, that affect us all, they disproportionately affect certain groups, more women, children, poor, disabled, and melanated folks.
As a response to this, partners like the Eastside Community Network, Elevate, and the City of Detroit have partnered to launch the Resilient Eastside Initiative, or the REI, which is a network of 12 climate resiliency hubs across the east side of Detroit. So a resiliency hub is a community-serving facility that coordinates resources to service residents before, during, and after natural disasters. So these services can look like acting as a heating and cooling center, having cold storage for food and medication, having phone charging stations, and relief application assistance, as well as computers, and so many more. So these hubs are really just a way to connect and efficiently use community resources all over the east side of Detroit. So this slide kind of explains the methods used during our time to create our final products of a resource map and a climate emergency standardized plan, which me and Marita will get more into. But it was really important for us to feel like our product was made co-collaboratively with our community partners, guided by best practices tailored to the city of Detroit. So to do this, we had bi-weekly project meetings with our community partners, Elevate and ECN. We all each split up the 12 resiliency hubs, and we had one-on-one meetings with our Design Resiliency Hub leaders. Those will be the folks who established the hubs. We also made sure that our resource map was informed by our hub leaders, and our climate emergency template was modeled after ones that already existed elsewhere, but again, tailored to the unique needs of Detroit. Some key moments for us this past year include being able to tour the 12 resiliency hubs and the REI network. We also got to present our project to the hub leaders at the beginning of our project at one of their roundtable meetings. We also had initial one-on-one meetings with our hub leaders to dive deeper into our project goals and make sure that they align. And then we were able to have a final meeting with our hub leaders to show them our final projects and kind of facilitate them through how to use them.
So Amber got into the methods of how we made, and so now I'm going to talk a little bit about what we made, which was an asset map and an emergency planning template. So in order to address the needs presented earlier in this presentation, we made an asset map, which is an interactive tool that visually represents all of the resources offered by each hub, and specifically highlights resources that could be valuable in climate-related emergencies, and particularly climate-related emergencies identified by last year's team in the city of Detroit. So that includes flooding, air pollution, extreme heat, and extreme cold. And then the emergency planning template outlines tailored protocols for hubs to follow during these climate-related emergencies. So here's a screen recording of our asset map in action. Users can check and uncheck resources that they are looking for nearby, as you can see over on the side. These resources include cooling and warming centers, food distribution and access, relief application assistance, computer labs, phone and car charging locations, cold storage, community gardens, wellness classes, and youth programming. I also want to mention that it doesn't mean like some huge thing has to happen and everyone goes into action. That's part of this plan, but there are also, these hubs are doing work every day. So like when floods happen on a day-to-day basis on the east side of Detroit, they're helping with FEMA applications. That's something that we got to witness happening while we were working on this project. In addition to creating this map itself, we also made training videos to assist the hub leaders with updating the map after we hand this project off. We specifically selected Google My Maps over ArcGIS because it's a more user-friendly platform, and user-friendliness increases the likelihood that this resource will live on well past our engagement with this project. The intention is that this map will be used by hub leaders and potentially by the public in the long term to showcase the community assets and increase cooperation between resilient hubs in the REI network. There are many resources listed on the map that could be shared between hubs or give hub leaders a place to refer regular visitors that they see if they can't offer something that someone that often comes to their hub needs.
Our second project deliverable is an emergency planning template. To construct the emergency planning template, we met with our REI hub leaders to identify pressing climate emergencies that may be unique to their neighborhood and their community. So perhaps one hub is more affected by floods, whereas another hub is affected by poor air quality. We also researched standardized template best practices and found many examples, whether they came from a federal level at FEMA or from other climate resiliency hubs across the nation. We also collaborated with community partners to create a final standardized template draft based on their unique needs. Our template consists of 5 main contents: internal resilience, assets, and infrastructure. So what does each of the 12 hubs have that makes them resilient or integrate some type of green infrastructure? That could be solar panels, generators, cold food storage. We'd also, for our template, we would like the hub leaders to reflect on their routine operations so that they can then reflect on their emergency preparedness, response, and recovery. So what do you do on a day-to-day basis, and then how will that change during an emergency scenario? We also focused in on internal and external communications. So internally, what are you doing as a team? And externally, how are you communicating the resources that you have available to offer to your neighbors and community? Lastly, we have community cohesion, relationship building, and education. Climate change affects all of us on an individual level and also on a community level and so on beyond that. And we want to promote climate education and also community building. We want to encourage people to talk to their neighbors and be able to rely on each other during times of emergency and crisis. As for our impact, we assisted the REI hubs with formulating the aforementioned project deliverables, our emergency preparedness plans, and our asset map that outline each organization's unique strength available in response to climate-related emergencies. We also fostered partnerships and coordination among community members, stakeholders, and emergency response organizations to better enhance community-led emergency preparedness and response efforts. When it comes to emergency preparedness and response, this is historically has been limited to government organizations, such as the City of Detroit and FEMA. So we're trying to shift this to community-led initiatives. Our major takeaways are to support local community leaders and to build coalitions. And these are our 12 Resilient Eastside Initiative hubs. We would like to bring special attention to ECN, the Eastside Community Network. They've not only have they been integral to helping our project as our project partner, but they were the first climate resiliency hub in the city of Detroit. So they are leading this climate resiliency movement. So our main partners at the Eastside Community Network are Ricky Ackerman, Megan Richards, and Aaron Stanley. And we'd also like to thank our project partner, Elevate. Incredible shout out to Terry O'Neill and Elizabeth Wallace. We just would like to give thanks to Terry, Megan, and the hub leaders for teaching us about the impactful work they are doing within their communities. We'd also like to thank Bridget and Jen for their support and leadership. And finally, we'd like to thank our Dow mentor, Becky, for her support. Thank you.